I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Toastmaster Linda for taking the time out and being a part of our Pakistani meeting and Pakistani district and sharing the secrets with all of us. When Talha was talking about his WhatsApp messages when the contest was being honored, we were constantly texting back and forth, sharing our feedback about every single contestant who was delivering his or her speech. And as DTM Talha has mentioned, that your message was absolutely spot on. And if I talk about myself, I particularly and absolutely loved the beautiful way in which you used the props, the charts that you had in your hands. A good speech has to have a lot of things. It has to have a good organization, good stage usage, effective pauses, good usage of words, which words to say and which not to say. An important message, how you open your speech and how you close your speech. And is your speech touching the hearts of the audience? And your speech had all of these components. And we are truly and greatly thankful to you for taking the time out and training all of us in how to make impactful presentations. And we are all very excited to have you with us today. And with this, I would like to hand over the control to our PQD DTM Talha. A warm welcome to all of you again. DTM Talha, over to you.
Thank you so much. So before handing over the floor to Toastmaster Linda, just a couple of things. There will be a Q&A session after Toastmaster Linda has spoken. I suggest and I strongly encourage everyone not to use the chat box during the speech of Toastmaster Linda because that's distracting. Unless there's a problem, then you can notify it here. And secondly, save your questions. The questions will be moderated and the questions will be noted in the chat box after Toastmaster Linda's speech. So please wait until that time. Note down your questions before that. So that's pretty much it. Over to you, Toastmaster Linda.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me today. This presentation will present better if you will put me on speaker view. So if you have yours set at gallery view, you may want to change it to speaker view so that you can see the screen more clearly. Every time you open your mouth to speak is an opportunity to change the world, to change the future for yourself and the future for other human beings on the planet. Every single time. That's how important speaking is. I tell people that I coach that want to be professional public speakers or that want to win a speech contest that your speech begins before you write the first word. Your speech begins by discovering what your purpose is. Hold on just a second. Let's see. My thing is not working. Let me see why this is not working. Give me a moment. I'm having technical difficulty. Okay, here we are. Well, no, it isn't. All right, I may need to change it like that. You have to discover what your purpose is before you speak. Before you write your next speech, figure out what your purpose is. And when I say purpose, I mean, what is the reason that you are on this planet? I didn't realize my life's purpose until I was 42 years old. Now that's a little late. I would encourage you not to wait until you're 42 years old. But at 42 years old, I realized that my purpose was to have people get that they matter. Simple. Just have them get that they matter. Every time I speak, whether I'm speaking to my son or to a clerk at the grocery store or one of my employees, or to 57,000 people watching a speech contest. Every time I speak, it is my life's purpose to have people get that they matter. Some people call that your ikigai. I encourage you between now and the next time you give a speech to figure out what your ikigai is. It is that is your purpose, but it's also something that the world needs. This is a mouse. This mouse has a singular purpose. Now, I might use this mouse for other things. I might use it to prop a door open, but that isn't this mouse's purpose. You may be going through your life focusing on something that isn't your purpose. And I encourage you to figure out what your life's purpose is, focus on it, and speak from your heart about it. Now, some people think, I don't have a purpose. I don't have any skills. So what can my purpose be? I want to tell you the story about this little girl named Melissa. Melissa was born with a rare chromosome abnormality. She couldn't speak. She couldn't walk until she was 12 years old. She couldn't count to 10. She couldn't write her name. She was mentally impaired. And her mother, when she was a baby, had difficulty finding someone to take care of Melissa while her mom went to work. She finally found somebody who didn't know anything about taking care of a special needs child, but she was willing to learn. So Melissa's mother taught her how to suction a tracheostomy, how to do a G-tube feeding, how to take care of a baby that might stop breathing at any moment. Cheryl was that caregiver, and she took care of Melissa for about 4 years until Melissa and her family moved away. When Melissa was 20 years old, she died. And Melissa's mother reached out to all the people that had ever made a difference in Melissa's life and helped her along the way as the mother of a handicapped child. And one of those people was Cheryl. She found out at that moment that Cheryl, who simply was her caregiver, that Melissa had touched her so deeply, touched her heart so deeply, that she had gone on to adopt 6 severely handicapped children right out of state institutions where their families had abandoned them because their care was too much for the family to deal with. Melissa, who couldn't speak or walk or count to 10, had a purpose. Her purpose was to change the future for 6 other severely handicapped children. You have a purpose, my friends. Find your purpose, and you too will change the future for both yourself and for other people. That's my first secret. The second secret is surrender to experimentation. When you are clear about your purpose, and your purpose is about changing the world, how you look doesn't matter anymore. I never worry when I'm going to give a speech about whether I look stupid. And sometimes I look pretty stupid. I never worry about whether I might cry. Many times I do. I cried in my semifinal speech. I had to keep practicing my semifinal speech because I kept not being able to stop crying. I don't mind dancing. And I'm a terrible singer, but I would sing if the message called for it. Because when you get your life's purpose and you get that you matter so much and that you're on this planet to deliver it, it doesn't matter what you look like. So experiment, try different things. In my final speech, I used cards. But that was not the first thing I tried. First, I tried doing this. But that really wasn't exactly what my speech called for. I wanted to give 2 speeches at one time. So the cards enabled me to actually give 2 speeches at one time. But I experimented with different things. First, I had the cards on an easel, but then it looked like they were outside of me. Whenever I experiment for a speech, I talk to many different people and I give that speech often so that I can get feedback from other people about that. So when you are experimenting, color outside the lines. Try different hair, try different outfits. Give the speech in your birthday suit in front of the mirror. Give your speech backwards. Give your speech laying down, standing up. Experiment any type of way. Experiment with different voices. Experiment with your vocal variety. And here's the real key. If you think of a pendulum, if you think that you are being wild, if you think the wildest you can be in a speech, the craziest, the funniest, you may just be going out to here as a pendulum. Most people, when they're experimenting, they really not experimenting too much because they're too worried about what way they look. I'm encouraging you to swing way out. And if you swing way out with your experimentation, you will likely create a bigger impact with your audience. So color outside the lines. Surrender to feedback. Feedback is such a gift. We call in Toastmasters, we call it an evaluation. I tell people in an evaluation, you know, that whole sandwich method, you know, get the bread, tell me something nice, then tell me something to work on, and then tell me something great again. I say, forget the bread. I just want the stuff in the middle because we know what we do right. We know if we're powerful speakers. We know if we use too many ahs or ums. We know if our message is good. We need to hear what's not working. And every time I get feedback in an evaluation, my response is always the same. Tell me what's not working. And then my response is, thank you for caring enough about me to be honest with me. Develop a powerful speaker presence. This is imperative. This is key. You will see people get up on a stage or even on the computer in a virtual world, and they'll be standing and you can tell they don't have a powerful stance because maybe their arms will move. They don't know quite what to do with their hands. I have a method for creating a powerful speaker presence that I'll give you the first step of it. And if you want to know the rest of the steps, we don't have time today, but if you email me and tell me you want it, I will send you by email the entire printout of how you create a powerful speaker stance, either on stage or virtually. But I'll give you the first step. The first step is whenever you step out onto a stage or in front of people, envision that you are a marionette puppet. You've seen those puppets that have strings coming from their feet and their hands. Imagine you're a marionette puppet and imagine you have a cord coming out of the top of your head, running through your body, and pull that cord up. Think about that cord being pulled up. And when you do that, this is what will happen. Your spine will straighten, your shoulders will go back, but more importantly, your arms will fall comfortably at your side because you are pulled straight up. Something else will happen. You will no longer have the ability to do this. This is a huge problem, especially virtually. People get on and they move around. It isn't powerful. But if you have envisioned you're being pulled up, it's not possible to move around unless you deliberately take a step forward, take a step back. Also, unless you deliberately move your arms for your gestures, for your powerful gestures, not just for distractions. Creating that stance as the first step whenever you get on stage and envision that cord is staying there the whole time will set you up to win in the first step of creating your powerful presence. So contact me later if you want the rest of the steps. You have to practice them to get good at them, but they will change the way you show up on a stage, I promise you. This is the most important secret. Speak like it matters. your purpose. It's not about you. Those are just the first couple of steps. But like I said, you can change the future of another human being or change your own future. Look at this picture. This is a man that a few years ago in London decided to end his life. Something had happened in his life. He no longer felt like he mattered. He no longer felt like he had any reason to live. He was going to jump off this bridge. He climbed over. A passerby saw him and grabbed him. He enrolled other people passing by to put their arms around him. They took their belts off and wrapped it around him, ropes and wrapped it around him. Look at the two men that are standing by his head, speaking into his ears. I'm going to tell you that those two men were giving the most important speech of their lives. They were speaking to that human being like he mattered in a way that would have him have hope. Those people stood there and held that man for an hour and a half before the police and the authorities were able to come and take him to safety and get him on the other side of the bridge. That's how important, friends, it is every time you speak. You may not know it. Someone in your audience, something you say, somehow your being with them could change their life, could save their life. Be your speech is the next secret. Forget about doing your speech. I saw this a lot in the speech competition. I saw people get up, they had a powerful stance, straight at the camera, good connection, not one ah, not one no slip ticks, none of that. Just the right amount of humor, a good three-part speech, the ending wrapping around to the beginning, and they delivered it perfectly. And it was boring. They didn't move on because they were doing a speech, not being the speech. Sometimes doing a speech can happen if you're not speaking about something that's your purpose. Now, I had a long career in finance, but I can give a presentation about numbers and still have it be about people getting that they matter, because that's my purpose. It's infused in everything I speak about, whether it's numbers or a speech contest. But I strive to be the message, not do the message. If I am speaking, and if you saw my final speech, you saw this. If I'm angry, I'm not going to talk about, oh, this happened and it really made me mad. I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be my message. If I'm speaking about the death of my daughter, I'm not going to get up and say, my daughter, what changed my life, she died when she was 19. I'm going to be connected with the fact that I lost my child. I'm going to allow myself to be in front of people. And that goes back to getting that it's not about you. And it doesn't matter what you look like. And if you will be your speech instead of just do your speech, because you are concerned about having people be different after your speech, you can change the world. Doing speeches doesn't change the world. Being speeches in your message changes the world. Now, some people ask me, how do I set about writing a speech? I always start with be. I start with, how do I want people that hear me speak, how do I want them to be different at the end of hearing me? And as a result of their being different, what will be possible in their lives? How will they be being with other people? See, here's the key. I'm not even here today to speak to you. You're listening to me, but I'm not here for you. I'm here for how you will be different after you hear me and how you will touch other people as a result of what I say. It's expansive. Always speak not to your audience, but to the audience of your audience, how they will be different in their lives afterwards. After I decide how I want people to be different, then I write a speech. Then I determine how I'm going to deliver it, but I always start with how I want someone to be different. Now, there's another benefit to that. If you are being your speech and you are willing to get that it matters enough that you will experiment and you get that it's not about what you look like, you will be speaking to people's emotional center, not to their head. And there's a scientific fact, a neurological fact. People remember what they feel much longer than they remember what they hear. It's why you remember your first kiss, but you don't remember your first exam that you took in school. It's because you felt it. When you get people to feel something, they will remember you. In the speech contest, this was interesting. You draw for your speaking order. And the people that drew first speaking order, I can't win. I'm going to be first. Then there are going to be 7 more speeches after me, and the judges are not going to remember me. I don't have a chance. To which I say, if you give a speech and 7 speeches later, the judges don't remember your speech, it isn't your speaking order. It's your doing your speech, not being your speech. I still have people call me, it's almost 2 months. I still have people contact me to tell me they will never forget my speech at finals. And the difference is I didn't do a speech. I was being a message. Secret number 7, invest in yourself. Practice. Read. Find somebody who is a public speaker that you like their delivery. You like who they are, you like their message, and follow them. Public speakers are anxious to have people learn from them. So find someone and take the time, invest in yourself because you matter and your message matters and you get to change the world. If I don't deliver anything else for you today, is that you matter, you get to change the world, and all of the rest of it is just the techniques on how to get there. Now, I do whole workshops on how to do that. That's not something that all of the little tips and the tricks, especially on words, there's something called neuro-linguistic programming. Look it up. There are words you can use in your speech that have different people in the audience wake up and hear something and remember, and it kicks off actually endorphins in their brain. Just words that you might use in your speech. So there are all kinds of amazing tips and tricks you can learn about the words you use in your speech. But I'm giving you the secrets that are outside of the words, in your message and in your delivery, because you matter and because your message to the world matters. So in closing, I'm going to say, if you hang around me for too long, I'll brainwash you into thinking you can believe in yourself and you can be anything. Don't worry about the trophy. Enter the contest. Don't worry about the trophy. Be your message. Have people get that they matter. Worry about how people are going to be different after your message. And guess what? You will win the contest. People asked me, and in closing, I'll tell you this. They said, do you feel bad that you didn't win first place? Well, I did win first place because as a result of the message that I gave, thousands and thousands and thousands of people searched me out. And as a result of that speech, we created the movement called One Shared Humanity. You can join it if you like. It's on Facebook. It's about creating a world that works for everybody, where there's no race but the human race. We have uncomfortable conversations. We have guest speakers. Come join us and help us create one shared humanity. Thank you very much, and I'll take any questions that anyone has.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Linda. And right now, I am kind of speechless, although I better not be, because I'm hosting this event as the program quality director. But I believe everyone will second me when I say this. Your speech at the World Champion of Public Speaking gave us chills, and you again managed to give us chills today. And it was not a discussion about racism and how can we counter it. It was a discussion about how to make better speeches. And even during that discussion, you managed to give me chills at least. Several things that you said connected on such a deep level. And one thing that I noticed is that your speech is one long line of quotable quotes. And you know, people who have listened to me and who I have evaluated, I usually hate it when people quote other people. Why? Because I tell them that you are good enough to write your speech. So why deliver the punchline through someone else's lens, who has lived a completely different life than yours, who has faced a completely different reality than you have? Why do you have to rely on someone else's words to lend your speech credibility? So every time someone says, someone very rightly said, or someone said, and I quote, so I mentally turn my switch off. But your speech was full of quotes, and you started with one that every time you speak, you have a chance to change the world. And really, I'm very, very grateful to you from the bottom of my heart. And I invite the audience now to fill the chat box with questions. Meanwhile, I'll start with a question of my own. And that is something that you hinted at during your presentation as well. But I believe it is such a huge dilemma that we can afford a little further insight on it. The cold, hard ballot versus the really innovative and transformative speech that you really want to make, but you're afraid that it won't score high enough on the ballots, or it will be too esoteric or exotic for the judges. How to choose?
Yeah, so here's how I chose. I have other speeches. I have a lot of messages for the world. I'm 63 years old, so I figure I've gained a lot of stories and a lot of wisdom, and I have a lot of messages I want to give the world. So when I was choosing my message for the final speech, when I made it that far, I thought there was a good chance that they wouldn't even show it. I thought it would be too controversial. And in fact, the day before they streamed the speeches, because they were all recorded 2 days before, they called me, they contacted me, International Toastmasters. And I thought, okay, here it is. They're not going to stream my speech. It's too controversial. But that wasn't it. They just needed a release from my friend Tony because his picture was going to be shown on the internet and they had to make sure it was okay. But here's the thing. I didn't care if I gave that speech 50,000 times to one person at a time or one time to 50,000 people. When you know your purpose, it doesn't matter if you win trophies. I want you to really hear that. I didn't win first place, but there are people whose lives are different. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people reached out to me. That is my trophy. Forget about winning a trophy. Now, you may have a speech that you give and it wins, and then you give it again and you give it again and you give it again. If you ever get to the top, if you ever get to the semifinals, really rethink your message. You have the world watching you. And here's the great news. This was virtual. If it had been in Paris, which is where it was scheduled to be held in person, there would have been 2,500 people in the audience. That would have been a lot of people. But here's another thing. The closest person would have been in the front row, maybe 50 feet away. When I gave my speech, I was 3 feet away from the heart of every human being, and I could speak into 50,000 people were watching. I could speak directly to their hearts and to their souls. When you are giving a speech, whether it's on a stage or virtually, it is your opportunity to change the future of another human being. If as a result of today, if one of you decides, hey, I'm going to enter the speech contest. I don't know how far I'm going to get, but I'm going to step up and I'm going to enter the speech contest. Videotape your speech and send it to me. I'll work with you. I'll tell you what I think about it because you matter and your message matters. If one person that's listening to me today takes a change in their life as a result of what I say, I'm not going to know it, but that is the trophy. And let's say somehow how I was being today, and this has happened. I'll give you an example. I spoke a year ago. I did a training a year ago, and there was a participant in the training who I haven't spoken with since then. She contacted me yesterday morning and said on Facebook, said, can I call you? I have a question. I said, okay, sure. And I had to remember back to who it was. She said, my mother died. And tonight I'm giving a eulogy at her funeral. And I want it to matter. I want to speak in a way that has people, that has everyone that is hear it differently, so that maybe they can heal relationships with their children that are broken, with their brothers and their sisters. I want to speak powerfully in that way. And I'm wondering if you can talk to me for about a half hour and give me some coaching. And I did. And she reached out to me this morning with such gratitude that she said after she spoke at a funeral, people came up to her crying and telling her that the way she spoke and the things that she said changed the rest of their lives, and that they will heal relationships with family members. That's how important it is. And friends, I'm telling you, that's the trophy. But if you do that, if you speak that way on a consistent basis, you are going to win trophies. It's just not going to be your intention to win them, but you're going to win them anyway. I win trophies because I forget about the trophies. So if you get what it's really all about, which is about the people that you're speaking to, and more importantly, the people they will touch after you speak to them, that's the trophy. That's what you should focus on. But if you want help on a speech, if you want me to look at a speech, videotape it and send it to me, and I'll be glad to give you feedback on it.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Linda. And this takes me back to January 30 of 2018. It was one of the last speech contests that I was able to participate in. It was an international speech contest at my home club. And of course, everybody who competes is a friend also. Mm-hmm. And one of my closest friends came to me seconds before the speech and said, knowing that I was a contestant as well, one last piece of advice. And I told him, forget about winning. Mm-hmm. And guess what? He won the contest. Mm-hmm. And people who are attending today have heard this from me 1,000 times, that if you want to be a better communicator, you have to forget about being a communicator. Instead, you have to become your audience and imagine what they want to hear. If you want to be a better leader, you have to forget about being a leader, especially in an organization like Toastmasters. You have to only remember about service. Whether you're speaking or whether you're in a leadership position, it's all about service. So amazing advice. I've received a couple of questions.
I want to
first
mention,
question,
let me say
yeah,
something about that. When you were
yeah,
telling your friend, forget about winning, forget about winning, that was your speech. That was a powerful speech.
yeah,
That was one line that you gave to another human being, and you touched them in a way that they heard you, and then they won their speech. So
exactly.
every time you open your mouth, you're giving a powerful speech. And that was the most powerful speech you could give to that person.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. I didn't look at it that way, but indeed, that is true. So the first question, Toastmaster Linda, is find your purpose. That can be excellent for your life purpose speech, but what if you have to give different speeches, for example, interpretive reading or humorous speeches or toasts?
Mm. So toasts are all about having people get that they matter. If you're toasting someone, if it's a humorous toast, you can always also incorporate having them get that they matter. But let's say I'm giving a speech about, um, let's say I'm giving a speech about insurance, and I'm giving a speech about how much insurance costs. Let's take something very boring. I'm giving a presentation about the cost of insurance and the type of coverage, and these are the numbers, and this is what it adds up to, because maybe I want someone to buy insurance from me. I'm just making that up because to me that sounds very boring. I'm not going to give a speech about the numbers. Now I'm going to show the numbers. I'll be showing people the numbers. I'm going to be speaking about the human being that doesn't have insurance. I'll be speaking about the number of people in this country right now in the United States that don't have health insurance because it's too expensive. I will be bringing in the human factor because that's my purpose. And my purpose is if I want people to get that they matter, then everybody gets to have insurance. And if the people in front of me, I want them to buy health insurance from me, I will have them buying from me because they get that their health is important to me because they matter and they need to stay healthy for their children. That's how I would speak it. Because so everything that you speak when you know your purpose, now maybe your purpose is to make people laugh. There's a Toastmaster in London who I saw at a club. He was a guest and I invited him to my club because he is so funny. If you enjoy having humorous speeches, write down this name, Dan McGill. Dan McGill has such amazing speeches that are so funny, and most of them are about Toastmasters. You should, and he loves to speak at different clubs. So reach out to him on Facebook, find him, and invite him. But he speaks funny speech. He does funny speeches, but all of his speeches also infuse what his purpose is. His purpose is to have people laugh. His purpose is to make people comfortable. His purpose is to have people enjoy Toastmasters. That's what I'm guessing. When he's in a Toastmasters meeting, his purpose is to make everybody feel comfortable. And he's willing to get up in front of people and look foolish in order to do it. So it doesn't matter what your purpose is. You can infuse your purpose in whatever the speech is that you're giving. And if you want tips about that, reach out to me at my email or on Facebook, and I'd be glad to help you with it.
Thank you. You know, the requests for your email IDs are currently the most asked question in
Okay,
my
so
list of questions.
so let's
So,
see. My email is at my email. You can reach me here, lindamariemiller.com. That's my Facebook. That's my website. And on my website,
sure.
if you go to contact, there's a little button that says contact.
Yeah.
You just put in your email information and your question, and you hit the button, and I will respond to you within 24 hours.
And in
Alternately,
fact,
you can go to Facebook. I'm also on Facebook. But sometimes if you ask me a question in Messenger, that's the Messenger feature on Facebook, I get hundreds of messages a day.
yeah.
So they get lost. I'm also on WhatsApp, but I get hundreds of messages on WhatsApp.
Yes.
So this is the best way to go to lindamariemiller.com. On the contact button, contact me and send me your question or your what you'd like to say. And if there's anything I said today that has you be different, please let me know. Please let me know because I'll put that out on my Facebook, on my website as a testimonial that I touched your heart today.
Everyone, I'll be sharing this web email, this web address also in other forums. So don't worry, you will have ways to contact Toastmaster Linda afterwards. And I'm a proof of that because we first connected on Facebook, and then I asked you about speaking engagement, and you told me to go to this website and fill out the contact form. And boom, like within 2 days, the response was there. So everyone, this is the best way to contact a person who is receiving literally hundreds of requests every day. So my next question to you is, okay, I wanted to ask Linda about her email. Sorry, that's done. Uh, does Linda always memorizes her speeches word by word, or does she keep a rough outline in mind? And how much practice do you do?
That's a great question. So, and it's a very important question.
Yeah.
When I am on a stage and I am delivering a message, let's say a keynote speech that's going to be an hour long, I could memorize it. I could remember just bullet points. I might have a lectern where I can look at bullet points. I know the message that I want to deliver in my speech, and this is something that I do. I'll give you the second step in my powerful speaking presence on a stage, and it also works with a camera if you're in the internet. If I'm on a stage, I pick a spot at the back of the room on the wall, and I focus on that spot. And then I let my glaze of awareness, I let my peripheral vision spread. And I call it a panoptic glaze of awareness. That's what I call it. So I keep that awareness going on the entire time I'm speaking. So right now I'm looking at the camera, but over here is a window and I can see the street outside this window. Over here, I can see this screen behind me. I can see a light over here, even though I'm looking at the camera. I keep that awareness, that peripheral awareness, so that let's say I'm talking to you let's say we're in an audience and I'm looking at you. But over here in this panoptic glaze of awareness, I know people are checking their cell phones. Maybe they're looking at cute cat videos. Maybe they're checking their work email. I know that is my feedback. I know that what I'm doing isn't working. I know that I get to shift and do something different. I need to be different. I need to do something different. What I never do is say, I just have to keep giving my speech that I memorized because those are the words that I memorized. I give myself the freedom to say, these people over here are checking their email. Something's not working. What else can I do? And then I change and I move and I'm different. And these are tools in your toolbox that you can learn about public speaking that I can show you a couple of them, or you can learn them through watching whatever powerful public speaker you like. But I always know what I'm going to say, but I always leave it open to pivoting in any direction that I need to, because the most important thing isn't for me to memorize a speech and to give it word for word. The most important thing is for people to be different after I've given it.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Linda. I had received another question, but I believe you've just answered it. Nevertheless, I'll repeat it. My core question here is that if you believe that your message is impactful to you, but it's not attracting public attention, how to attract interests of people in such a case? So I believe you just answered it, but if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I do. And so not every message that I give the world is well received. That my speech, and if you didn't see my final speech, I'm going to encourage you to go see it. You can see it, you can find it on YouTube, and you can put in my name, or you can type in pretending not to know. And I encourage you to watch the speech if you haven't seen it. But I got hate mail. I got death threats. Not everybody liked my speech.
Yes, I understand.
But the point was the number of people who were touched by it and their lives were changed by it. And here's something I make up. Now, this is where I stand in the world. I stand in the world. I say, when I speak, what I say is so impactful and gets to be so impactful that it could save lives. It may save lives. It's going to save. Now, I'm never going to know it. And in actuality, maybe it's not even true. But it is a powerful place to stand. And it's the, if I speak, what if people don't like it? If I speak, what if my message is not a message the world wants to hear? There were a number of people who heard my speech that said, you can't say that to the world. But I knew that there might be someone. In fact, I thought I might get maybe 20 or 30 people and we could have a book club. I thought that's what would happen. I had no idea that tens of thousands of people would be changed and would want to join a movement to make a difference in the world. So you don't worry about the people that may not need to hear your message. And this is something else I believe. I believe that if there is energy in you, if there is an idea that you have, that it is on your heart to give to the world, that I believe that powerful message that you have has actual energy. And I believe that the reason you have that energy about that idea is somewhere else in the world, there's an opposite need to hear your message. And that's why when I'm invited to speak, some people say, I can't believe you're speaking at our club. We only have 8 people at our club, but you came and you spoke at our club in Qatar or in Japan. I say to them, the fact that you reached out to me and asked me to speak, I believe that there's divine intervention, that someone, one of those 8 members of your club, needed to hear the message. And that's why you're reaching out to me. And that's kind of how I go through my life, trusting that if I have a desire inside of me to give a message, that the people that are in front of me are the people that need to hear it. Now, there are some people that might call that crazy, but it's the way I live my life.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Linda. The next one will be the last question. But before that, let me share something very interesting. I am a monthly subscriber to this magazine called Motor Trend. And I received their latest issue 2 issues back. They published a very, very moving piece titled, "What is it like to be a black driver, black race car driver in the USA?"
Wow.
And 2 issues later, the hate mail is not stopping. Yes, people are also admiring them for printing that piece, but the other half says, first of all, what is politics doing in a motoring magazine? And number 2, I'm canceling my subscription or something like that. So very, very interesting reactions to that. So the last question for today would be, who personally inspires you by their speaking?
Well, I have a number of them. I have someone who has been my mentor for 20 years. His name is Dr. Ray Blanchard. He's an experiential trainer, and I learned how to be an experiential trainer from him. And then there's someone else named Betty Spruill, Dr. Betty Spruill, who is a coach. She's an ontological coach, and I learned how to be an ontological coach from her. I like someone named Mel Robbins, and I found Mel Robbins, it's a woman, because someone sent me an email and said, hey, you need to go listen to Mel Robbins. She's on YouTube because you sound just like her. Someone sent me an email that said that. So I went out and I started watching videos for Mel Robbins. I really like her. I like her delivery. She's very conversational, but I really like her messages. If you are affected by fear or procrastination about giving a speech, or moving forward on a pathways in Toastmasters, or in any way, anything preventing you from taking the next step, go out and listen to her speech called, what is it called? Counting to 10 or something like that. What is, I don't remember it, but look at Mel Robbins and you'll see her speech on YouTube. But she is someone that I really like. So that's, but now anybody you can find. You can learn. Zig Ziglar was someone back in the day who was very popular, and if he was still alive today, he would have a huge following. But I find someone that you like. If you like the way I speak, you want to get more, you want to work with me in any way, come to any of my workshops, you'll be able to find those on my website, or contact me and I'll tell you when I have things coming up.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Linda.
Thank you for having me.
And I know I speak for everyone when I say that this is nowhere near enough for us. We want to hear you more and more. And trust me, when I heard your speech at the World Championship for Public Speaking, that's when I made up my mind that, if we can, we'll have you speak in our district and no other person. You were the first port of call because of the way you incorporated your message in such a powerful speech. So thank you so much for sparing time. And I'll sum it up, not with my own words, but words from someone. And again, you changed me today because I hate to quote people, but today I'm doing that left and right. So I'll quote Toastmaster Varda Imtiaz from Terra Data Islamabad Toastmasters Club, who has posted a beautiful message from where she's sitting. My message for Linda is that she speaks from the heart, and this is enough for people to sit up and listen. She is one of the most inspiring and authentic speakers I have seen. Thanks a lot for your time today. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. And please, if you have a message that you would allow me to use as a testimonial on my website, which I have someone creating for me right now and developing, please send it to me. I would love to be able to, and I will just use your first name and your last initial. I would love to have your testimonials to use on my website. Thank you. That was a beautiful testimonial. I would love it if you'd send it to me. Thank you so much.
So we can have it right now. Toastmaster Varda, if you are fine with using this message as a testimonial for Toastmaster Linda, please indicate a yes. Oh yes, she will be happy to do that. So there you have it.
Thank you.
So
maybe someone can send me the chat, copy and paste the chat into an email or something for me. Maybe
I most certainly will.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll also be sharing the recording of this session. But everyone who did not attend this session tonight, please know that the recording isn't coming anytime soon, because we don't want to make it people to miss out on sessions and then see a recording the very next day. We want to encourage live participation. But of course, Toastmaster Linda, you are an exception. The recording happens to be in my control, so I'll be sharing with you first. So thank you so much once again. And we hope and we pray that first of all, you succeed in your mission of one shared humanity. And it is a mission that we all feel very connected to, because as I said, the problems that you speak about are common throughout the world. It's a problem being interconnected with being human. And secondly, so we all feel connected to that. And I believe those who have attended this session today have learned so much for you. It has been truly a transformative experience. As you yourself said, that when you speak, you have a chance to change the world. And I believe you changed at least 33 people today, and by extension, a couple of hundred as well. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And enter that speech contest. Be in the contest. Give it a shot. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for your participation. And those of us who are asking about the recording, brother, you aren't getting it anytime soon. It will take a few days. It's best to attend the session and then ask for a recording. But again, that I'm just kidding with that. So everyone, thank you for your attendance. And thank you once again, Toastmaster Linda. Bye-bye, everyone. And have a lovely rest of your day. I believe it must be morning there, Toastmaster Linda.
I think it's about 11 o'clock here in the morning, yes.
Okay, great.
You guys have a blessed evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
everyone.